Somebody fix this. This is ridiculous.
Like, seriously. Martha Stewart would never get this kind of treatment. Hey, welcome to Cooking with Me. With Rob, that's me. Today is a really super duper awesome family fun episode for you from me and from Disney again. Because I don't know if you know this about me, but I love Disney. It is really fun. You're going to be wondering what I'm making. So, do you want to guess? No? No, that's a stupid guess. Okay, I'll just tell you. This is what we are making. Gaston's cinnamon buns! Yay! Oh, they're so scrumptious. Okay, so let's get right to it. First thing you're going to need is a pot, or a saucepan as they call it in the business. You're going to need butter or margarine. I prefer margarine. And you're going to need to have a little bit of milk. Now, if you live in a weird place like I do, your milk comes in bags. I tell them that that's stupid, but they don't really listen to me. So, it's okay. We just use what we've got, right? So now what we need to do is we need 1.5 cups of milk. Okay? This is a cup. I shouldn't have done it this way. But that's okay. Because we're learning. Right? You know that about me. We're learning. And I eyeball it because I'm that good. Look at that. That's a 1/2 cup right there. No problem. Pow. Now we're going to need our 1/2 cups of butter. Or margarine. And this is the fun part, right? You just go for it. You just do it. Because that's what it's all about. Just doing it. I've washed my hands. Margarine. Don't do it too hot. Just because. Tip number 1. Don't do it too hot. Because if you happen to go about your business and say you get distracted by a TV program, then it's not going to burn as easily if you put it on not as hot. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to let that just sort of simmer over there and melt. And while that's happening, we grab the bowl part of our KitchenAid Professional Series mixer, and we are going to add our next ingredients. Now, what you're going to need is 2.5 cups of flour. That's not 2.5 cups of flour. Here's a very important lesson for you folks. Tip number 2. You never, ever use one of these to measure your flour. This is for liquids only. Why? I don't know. But you don't ask questions in baking. When somebody tells you that you don't use that, that's what you don't do. So we just need to get 2.5 cups of flour. Do this. That's 1 cup of flour. That's 2 cups of flour. And this is where the eyeballing, see guys, you really, if you're gonna do this kind of thing, you've got to get good at the eyeballing. The eyeballing just makes it all so much better. We are done with that flour. Now, we need yeast. And here is a very important thing. Some of you are from the United States of America, and some of you are from Canada. And if you're from Canada, then yours is going to say grams, whereas in the United States of America, in these United States of America, it says ounces. Well, 8 ounces and 0.25 ounces and 8 grams are about the same. It's a little more in the United States of America. So you guys are going to have yeastier cinnamon buns than me because I'm from Canada. All right. There's 1. And as we're doing that, we're thinking about what's next. You know what? We have all of our stuff out here. So now we need sugar. And what we need is a half a cup of sugar. Let's make it a heaping sugar. There that is. And now we just need 1 teaspoon of salt. That was, the producer put out the wrong cups, people. Or I used the half cup for butter. Margarine. And now we need a teaspoon of salt. And this is a half a teaspoon. I don't know why we didn't just go for the full teaspoon. But, guys, we can use, what's our magic trick? Math. If we need a full teaspoon, how many half a teaspoons do we need? That's right. 2. So very important, folks, very important information. This that I used here today is called quick rise yeast by Fleischmann's. Now, some of you are going to use something that's called not quick rise yeast. Okay, so if you use that type of yeast, you can't just throw it in the flour concoction all willy-nilly. You can't do that. What you have to do is set it in water for 10 minutes so that it can proof. Oh! You know what? Let's check on the milk and margarine. Oh, yeah. That's ready. So we're going to let that cool down. And then when it's nice and a good temperature, we're going to come here and we're going to mix it in with this. Okay, so now I got a little tip for you. This is tip number 4 or 3. If you you don't like waiting for things to cool down, well, this happens to be one of those situations where we're going to mix some water in with it as well. So just throw your water in here. And that's going to help it to cool down to a nice temperature, because you know what? You don't want it too hot or you will murder your yeast. And if you do that, that's a bad doings of transpiring. Okay. Yeah, that's ready. Okay. Now, we're just going to do this where let's get a good shot of that. Yes. What's our goal, people? That's right. Homogeneity. Now, some people are all about taking this straight to the mixer. Not me, though. Okay, we need to add our eggs in. Time for the old one-handed egg crack. That's okay. Okay, sometimes you get a little excited about your one-handed egg cracks, and then they get really sloppy, and then then they become a little slimy. So it doesn't call for it right now, but I feel like this is a good time for some vigorous stirring so that we get the business done, right? So now what we need to do next is, right, add more flour. This suggests that you do it a half a cup at a time. But luckily I had the 1 cup in here because I don't want to do it a half a cup at a time. I'm going to add in 2 cups because I know that we're going to need 2 cups. Now we're at a total of 4.5 cups, people. But we need a total of 6.5. So, of my own accord, I've decided that now is a good time to move over to the mixer. Oh my. Being sticky like this is a good sign that it's not ready. Okay, we're going to move over to the mixer because that was getting a little difficult. Tip number 4, write KitchenAid a letter and tell them that this situation is a massive pain in the butt. And actually that was really easy. Now we're going to put this thing on. This is your dough hook. Okay? You get it up and you lock it in place, I think. What you need to make sure you do, folks, is how do you lift the bowl? Oh, over here?
Yeah. Other way.
Okay, just leave all that out, right?
Sure.
Make sure you got your bowl lifted up real nice. Whoa, don't do it too fast. You want to let it knead now. This is what they call kneading. Now is a good time to add flour, a half a cup at a time. Okay, so now we want to turn it up just a little bit at a time. Like, look at that business. But I think we need to try another half a cup now. It can be a little scary to put it in this way. This is really fun. Another half a cup. It's a messy job, isn't it? Okay, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, and what we need to do is just slow it down there to stop. Just give it a little, okay, it's getting there, but there's just, there's maybe a couple sticky spots. I'm gonna just stick one more little smidgen of a hint of flour in there, and then we're gonna let that go. Okay, now, let's just take a quick little, oh yeah. We're gonna let it fly. Ready? Yeah. It's a crazy little dance, isn't it? Okay. I think we're looking pretty good here. Now, we're gonna take it, lower our bowl, take this off. I'm just gonna release that and deal with it over here. Let me just grab a little flour to deal with this because I don't wanna have sticky hands. A little flour never killed anybody. That's what I always say. So we've got it nicely mixed, but it's still, it likes to grab on because it's dough. That's just what dough does. So we try and get a nice ball. And throw a little bit of that there because we're going to pop this in. We're going to cover it with a cloth and we are going to let it rise. So now, normally what you would want to do is take a cloth like this and stick it over and wait for a certain amount of time that's already pre-decided. But since we have the magic of TV, that looks really great. Very excited about the dough. Now, what you would normally probably do is while this is rising, because it should take about 10-15 minutes for it to rise, what with all of the quick yeast and such, is that point is when you would do the filling and you'd make the filling then. But since I had to go use Pray with Senior Citizens, I am going to go make the filling now. So we will cover it because we don't want it to dry out. And we're going to set that off to the side. Now we make the filling. I love filling. What you need for the filling is brown sugar, margarine or butter, and cinnamon. Now I have a very important tip for you right now. We are going to need 2 cups of brown sugar, 1 cup of margarine, and like 2 spoons filled with cinnamon. But since we have to use the cup, don't use it in the margarine first. So let's get a lot of sugar going on there because sugar is awesome. Okay, there's the sugar. Now we need 2 tablespoons filled with cinnamon. And now look it. It's all good for my margarine. And if you happen to have a little bit of leftover sugar in your margarine, that's just a delicious treat for later. And then we mix. This is very exciting. We're back. And now for the fun part where we roll the dough. This is very important. And if you are a good, serious baker, you're going to have one of these. You need a sprinkle flour jar. This is different flour than the other flour. This is a little more magical. It's for sprinkling. Get that out. Grab it. And plop it down. See, what you're going to want to go for here is a nice rectangle. You know, give it a little, if you feel like doing that. If you got a little anger, just, you can do that kind of stuff to your dough. And it's fun. But I don't have anger. Okay, now we want to make sure that we get a little bit of this on here. I prefer the rollers that don't have handles. But that's just because I like to look really professional. It takes a really good professional to notice something like somebody's hair. Only the best of us. All right, guys, so now I'm going to keep rolling this out. And dough needs to be really nice and thin. So I still have quite a bit of rolling to do, but I don't think you want to sit and watch while I just keep rolling my roller. So we're going to use the magic of TV once again. All right, we're done. Now we get to do the fun part. This is my most fun part. We're going to spread the yummy all over the dough. Try not to eat it, though. We want to get it fairly close to the edge, folks. And that stuff that falls off the edge, that stuff's for you. You're the baker here. People can't tell you can't eat that. You can eat that. All right, I think we are fairly good here. Now it's rolling time. Oh, look at this, guys. There was a treat for me. Okay. Now, we get it nice and tight because when it rises, it's going to have issues if you don't get it nice and tight. All right. Let's bake them. So we've got two here. You might be thinking, why do we have two? Because one is a Gaston size, and the other one is more of a LeFou. Go over to your log of cinnamon bun. You want to get to about the middle here, okay? I'm going to say that's the middle because it's a little wonky over there. Give it a nice... Some people would suggest you use a cutting board, but you know me, I'm a rule breaker. Then let's go for about 6 inches. How about like right there? Give it a cut right about there. I know you're thinking, wow, that's crazy, Rob. That's me. And then let's go another 6 inches over here. Does that look about right? Maybe right there. And if it's not exact, again, don't punish yourself. Let's take these beautiful delights and set it down like so. Take another beautiful delight and set it down like so. Those are going to be the Gaston ones. Now, you'll notice we still have a lot more cinnamon bun. Well, these are for our little LeFou guys. We're going to do these at about 1 inch. All right, so you just want to do about 2. Okay, so now just before everything gets risen and everything like that, you're going to want to take about 1/4 cup of margarine or butter. Just sort of drizzle it. Our Gaston ones are going to need a good amount. All right, so I have gone ahead and covered them in plastic so that they don't dry out. What we're going to do is we're going to let these just sit here now for about 30 minutes, maybe 31 minutes, and they're going to rise. That's a good thing. Now, I don't recommend that you sit and stare at it for that long. But nonetheless, look at those monsters. They're monstery. Kind of like Gaston. He's a bit of a monster. Okay, so now we are going to take these bad boys and we're going to put them in the oven. We've had it preheated at 190 degrees Celsius for a good while now. There's going to be a trick that you have to do with this baking because these are so big. What we're going to do is we're going to bake them at about 20 minutes. Then we got to cover them with tin foil so that they don't burn. Look at those. So now we're going to get to the real deliciousness. The first thing that we want to make is our butterscotch topping. Everybody likes a good butterscotch topping, especially me. What you're going to need for your butterscotch topping is brown sugar, margarine, cream, and vanilla extract. Okay, let's get right to it. What you're going to start out with is your half a cup of brown sugar. Now, it calls for 4 tablespoons of butter. That's not butter. It calls for 4 tablespoons of butter. But do you know a little secret about 4 tablespoons of butter? It's about a quarter cup. All right. Now we need to get our whipping cream. Add a half a cup of that. Or cream. Once you have those 3 deliciousnesses in the pot, come on over. Mix it nicely a little bit. To get that homogeneity. Okay, come on in and look at this. Doesn't that look really nice? Okay, Rico. So you're going to want it to fizzle like that for about 5 minutes. Okay, so while that's boiling, we're going to go ahead and quickly make our cream cheese topping. And what you're going to need there is cream cheese. You're going to need your favorite margarine again. You're going to need powdered sugar. You're going to need vanilla and possibly some cream. 8 ounces of good American cream cheese. Probably from Philadelphia is the best place to get that. But if you can't go to Philadelphia, just go to Walmart. And they've got cream cheese there. Now we're going to want to melt this with our butter and our whipped cream. Okay? America. We need a quarter cup of margarine. And then 3 tablespoons of cream in here. Oh my, my. Oh my. Oh my, 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 my. We're just doing this. 1, 2, 3. That's a tablespoon. All right, this has been about 5 minutes, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to do the old switcheroo. Now, once your butterscotch topping is off of its burner, you're going to want to grab your artificial vanilla extract, and then you want to grab your half a teaspoon and your salt. So, I've got my salt. You're doing a half a teaspoon of that bad boy. And you need a teaspoon of vanilla instead of dirtying tip number whatever 5. Instead of dirtying, and if it's a little extra vanilla-y, it's good. But 2 half a teaspoons makes a teaspoon. I love math. Do you guys love math as much as I love math? So you see what I'm doing here, friends? Is I'm taking it off the burner because it's really actually not supposed to come to a boil, but just a really delightful melt. All right, now we need our scissors, or people call them baking shears. Now, this is what makes life worth living in baking world, is powdered sugar. You're going to need 2 cups of this glorious fluff. That is a really good thing. Let's eyeball this one. Let's not eyeball this one. Because you don't want too little amount of vanilla. You want it to taste really good and vanilla-like. Oh, my friends. This is really starting to homogenize nicely. It's coming together. We got to give it some vigorous stirring. Oh my. That's a nice noise. Oh my. There's that hot air we always talk about. Look at that. Look at it. Look at that. And oh my stars. How is that? That is a cinnamon bun made for Gaston. But these ones actually need to go in a little bit longer. We're going to cover them with tin foil because we don't want any burning to happen. Like that. Oh my. So we're going to pop that in for another 10 minutes. It's ready. Okay. So, guys, I'm very excited for these. I decided of my own accord to throw the other ones back in there for a little bit because I thought that maybe they weren't quite done. Another little tip for you guys. When you pull stuff out of the stove, if you have a stupid stove like my stove is, oops, don't put stuff on the top because maybe one of the burners is still warm and then you might burn something. These are very hot, people. Look at those. How nice are these looking? These just look Gaston size, don't they? And then we put our final touches on. We have our cream cheese kind of drizzle. This is going to be an ooey, gooey, good drizzly. Let's get some going down the sides there. Right? We need like an explosion of cream cheese. And to top it off, a little butterscotch drizzle. And there you have it. Gaston's cinnamon buns. All right, some milk.